Oh, ding-a-ling. Ding-a-ling. Do I have like a... Yeah, just trying to remember how to heal my pet. Okay, this isn't gonna... Who's throwing shit at me? That guy?
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
I see that.
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
How much bandages we got? Okay, we got some. We're gonna need a lot of bandages.
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
Yeah, I wasn't really having... I didn't feel like doing the honor on the hunter was really gonna... We weren't really gonna get a lot of honor, so I felt it was kind of a waste. Like, I'd rather do something a little bit more fun, so I've been really wanting to play my Warlock again. I'm trying to think of another class that I can take into the Burning Crusade that I think would be fun, and I think the Warlock would be that class, because I've never really done a Warlock in vanilla, you know. So I thought it'd be really fun to see if we could skill up in the Warlock class. Is it good in TBC? I don't know. I've never played the Warlock. Warlock is the one of the classes I played the absolute least of all the classes. You know, like the Warlock's one of the classes I played the least. And it's one that I've always wanted to get good at. Just for whatever reason, I never. I think it's because I like Hunter so much, and the Warlock's kind of a pet class that I always just like the Hunter more because I enjoyed the pets on Hunter more. But the Warlock's such a different type of class. Yeah, so it'll be new. That's why my Warlock's character. You just gotta check out my Warlock's character name, FaiLock. I'm a FaiLock because I'm a failure at Warlocks because I suck at Warlocks. I never play them, so I figured that name is appropriate. Oh, we need some oats. Yeah, my character's name is FaiLock. You want to play Shadow Priest? Shadow Priest is good. I don't know how good Shadow Priest is in TBC. Shadow Priest is good in vanilla. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Well, I'm only level 13, so I gotta be careful what I do here. Let's see. Is there oats? There's oats here. I love Shadow Priest though. Shadow Priest is a lot of fun. Yeah, I have to do a little research on Warlock to see how good they are in TBC. Like what specs are decent. I always like to research like the meta and then figure out on my own how I want to play it. Like I'll research the meta, see what's strong, and then I'll play around with that, and then I'll play around with the weak aspects of classes. Then I'll usually come up with something kind of custom. You know, I like to do like bizarre builds, so we'll come up with something. Yeah, okay, so go zoom. Yeah, I remember one expansion. I remember expansions where S-Priest really had mana problems. And then they finally added that pet. You could summon your pet that would restore your, regenerate mana. I think it's cool. I think TBC Classic is super exciting because I didn't play the original TBC Classic that much, but I love TBC. I'm a big fan of TBC. Whereas, and Wrath of the Lich King's good too. So I think it's really cool that we're going into like anniversary TBC Classic. I don't know if they're going to do an anniversary like World of Wrath of the Lich King Classic, but I hope they do. I really hope they do, because I think that a lot of people would play it. Then you got Mr. Pandaria coming, and I think Mr. Pandaria is good too. I mean, as far as PvP, it's good. So I just hate to see Blizzard constantly dividing the player base, but at this point in Classic, the player base is pretty much, most of them are on anniversary. Like the regular realms are pretty dead. They're like really dead, actually. I wonder, like, I wonder if I have some of these things I need for these quests. Gore-Tusk's now. I wonder if I have any Gore-Tusk liver on my banker. Oh, that's funny. No, here the anniversary is definitely Got more people. Hey, what's up, Kapoop? I haven't seen you in a while. It would be stupid to not make anniversary rather. I think they will too, Kapoopa. Good to see you, Kapoopa. I haven't seen you in a while. I think they will too. You know, I think they'll do it, and I think it'll be pretty good. Let me see if my my body parts banker has any gore tusk. Just out of curiosity. I have a banker for every situation. There's a banker. So do we have any? Oh, there's one gore tusk. Oh, that's a huge venom sac. Do we have any gore tusk liver? I could always just buy some. Probably is pretty cheap. Yeah, none of this stuff is stuff we need. Well, we are gonna need the spider meat and the legs eventually, so we can send that over. Let's see if we can buy some gore tusk liver really cheap. Nah, it doesn't matter. We'll just kill for it. We need the XP anyway. Let's send her. I don't know how much money she has. Let's send her 20 gold. You loaded your first character on Alliance side recently, up to 16. I rating on my rep paladin. I gotta say, Alliance one time was sort of. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd go to so far as say it's horrible. I guess it depends on how you look at it. A lot of people love Alliance leveling 1 to 25. What don't you like about it? You don't like the quests? You don't like it depends on what zone you're in. Like a lot of people love Westfall. I'm not necessarily one of those people. I think Westfall's okay. But I mean, Westfall is basically 12, you know, you can do 12 to 25 in Westfall, or 12 to, you know, if you do a lot of dead mines. You do a lot of dead mines, you can be in Westfall easily till like 23, 24.
Help you find something?
If you're just grinding dead mines quite a bit.
Go with honor, friend.
It's funny though, the shit amount of quests that require you to collect mess for some cooking recipes. Oh, okay, I gotcha. I don't know. I find leveling on. I mean, you gotta keep in mind, I've played primarily Alliance in the first 3 expansions. I played mostly Alliance. I can level 1 to 25 in Alliance, you know, very, very quickly, and that's without doing any of those low item quests, you know. No, I can't, dude. I can't stand the. Oh, we're gonna disagree on that one. I can't stand the Barons, dude. The Barons is way too much. You're like running around too much. There's too much running around in the Barons. Where's my stone at? Okay, we're good. We are good. I think anybody who's played the Horde a long time who's never played the Alliance will always complain about the Alliance. Anyone who's played the Alliance a long time and then tries to play Horde will probably complain about the Horde leveling. I just think it's probably more what you're used to than really a flaw in the leveling, I think. I don't think there's any really issue with either leveling. I do think certain ones, like for me, like this guy's gonna die, you damn it. I think a lot of it is also racial based. Like for example, like I think the Tauren starting zones are really nice. I like the Tauren starting zone a lot. And I like the Tauren leveling. I think it's cool. I cannot stand the troll and the orc leveling zones. I think they're hideously ugly, and then the quests are kind of boring. I just don't like the Barrens because it's so damn ugly. It's just so ugly. I like, in MMOs in general, I like forest zones. I'm a fantasy person. I love fantasy. To me, nothing exemplifies fantasy more than open woodlands, right? Forests, open woods. To me, that feels so fantasy, you know. So I always am going to enjoy classes that start in like kind of like forest. So that's why I like the Night Elves probably the most. On the Horde side, I like the Undead. It's not even close. Like if I'm going to level a Horde and I really am trying to pick something that's based on pure enjoyment, I would go Undead every time. I think the Undead starting zone is fantastic. I love the Undead starting zone. Yeah, Forsaken's awesome, so I just love it. I don't like those kind of... And I don't have anything against deserts. I like deserts, but the Barrens isn't really a desert. It's like this broken, ugly plain. But yeah, I think it's going to be cool to see. I'm looking forward to playing TBC. Now, you know, Mob Classic's coming out, and I'll probably play Mob Classic too. Actually, Mob Classic comes out in July. I believe it's like late July or middle July. I know the pre-patch is on July 1st. So the pre-patch for Mr. Pandaria Classic is July 1st. So I don't know. I mean, I'm a lot more excited about playing Anniversary TBC than I am playing Mr. Pandaria. I can tell you that. I'm way more excited about playing Anniversary Classic TBC than Classic Mr. Pandaria. And it's unfortunate that they're releasing them out the way they are, because now, again, you're dividing the player base. You know?
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
He's just resetting. Yeah. Yeah, I hate to see the player base being divided. I would much rather have seen them. I just think that, I don't know. And did you guys watch the video? I mean, there's nothing we can really do about it, because they've been doing the whole classic thing for so long. You know, we had Classic WoW, we had Classic TBC, Classic Wrath of the King, Classic Cataclysm. They're just going to keep going through that whole arc. You know, now we're going to do Classic Mr. Pandaria, and then whatever's after that. I don't know if it's Worlds of Draenor or Battle for Azeroth. I don't remember which one, but did you guys see that there was a video by, I think it was Priest Gaming? Or Preach Gaming, where he was talking about WoW 2, and I didn't like. He thinks Blizzard's working on what he calls WoW 2. Let's see if we can find that video. Why WoW 2 is coming.
Myself included. My Tauren used to look way meaner and angrier than this goofy face thing. No.
And so, what he's talking about here is when he says my Tauren used to look like this. Here, listen.
The updated character models a few years back, myself included. My Tauren used to look way meaner and angrier than this goofy face thing. No. The idea of WoW 2 is primarily back-end, to allow the game to do all.
So, actually, let's finish that.
All the things they wish it could do, and may.
I'm looking at this this code. Is this like from WoW, or is this just a random code thing? This like from, yeah, this is just a random code
wants
thing.
To do in the future without it being hamstrung by literally decades of old design, and that.
Which is interesting. So he's talking about how WoW is a very, very old video game, and they've constantly had to modify the client to try to. Constantly tried to upgrade the client to make the game feel more modern, more up to date, to handle obviously newer computers, faster computers, take advantage of newer computers and faster computers. Let me try to kill these guys without getting myself killed.
You were screwed.
Maybe we're gonna have to take a health stone.
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
So as WoW's gotten older and older, they've tried to upgrade the client, like things they've done, like modify the the ability to have higher res textures. They added the better water engine. They've done different things to the client over the years, right? And they keep adding. And if anyone who's played, and he talks a lot about it in this video actually, so I guess I don't really need to go into it too detailed. But if you watch this video, Why WoW 2 is Coming by Preach Gaming, he talks about how, like in modern WoW, like the current version of WoW, like the War Within, like how people. Oh, and I see Zarya is reacting to this video. I hate people reacting to videos, but and I guess I'm reacting to a video, but I'm just talking about WoW. I'm not really reacting to it. I guess I am. I guess I am reacting to it. But what I'm trying to say is WoW 2. I mean, Preach Gaming is saying he thinks that WoW 2 is coming. I I thought that once they did the War Within and they said it's going to be 3 expansions, and then that, like, to me that really symbolized that they were trying to go somewhere. Like they were trying to say, this is the end of World of Warcraft, so to speak. But what does that really mean? Does that mean they're not going to do any more expansions? Or does that mean they're going to come out with some sort of a different version of WoW? Like, to me, the best thing Blizzard could do to really, I mean, they can run WoW for another 20 years probably, really, because there's so many people that love World of Warcraft and people have got so much time invested into it. Unless some other company comes out with a really, really good MMO, like really good, that's way better than WoW, they can pull everybody away. You know what I mean? Obviously, no one is going to play that mess. Blizzard Radar, yeah, probably not. Probably not as much. People still play it, just not as many. But so I just once I saw that they were doing 3 expansions for War for the War Within or whatever it's called. What is the World Souls the War Within, right? Let's see. WoW 3 expansions. It is like the World Soul. Wow. Yeah, so it is. The War Within, Midnight, The Last Titan. Everybody thinks The Last Titan is Azeroth itself. Like, everybody thinks that The Last Titan refers to Azeroth itself, the world. But once they announced that they were going to do these 3 expansions, to me that symbolized that, hey, we're just going to focus on these 3 expansions. Now they don't need to worry about coming up with all kinds of like announcements or media or stuff for those expansions. Everybody knows that these 3 expansions are coming. So that gives them some extra bandwidth to work on something else, because now they don't have to do like all the announcements. And there's a lot of work that goes into like releasing expansions. But once you get working on an expansion, you already know ahead of time where you're going. Like they know where they're going with these 3 expansions. So there's no guesswork. The team can just focus on developing these 3 expansions. It's faster to develop 3 expansions that you know what you're doing ahead of time than, you know what I mean? Like if you work on the War Within expansion 1 and you already know War Within expansion 2, you know what's going to happen, like plot line, story. If all that stuff's already been figured out, by the time you get to it, you're going to get through it a lot quicker than as opposed to it being a completely new expansion. And you have to like come up with a whole new story and a whole new, all that kind of stuff. So they'll be able to correct. So basically, you can put out 3 expansions that you know ahead of time what you're doing faster than if they're 3 completely different expansions. So what I'm saying is, I think that in a way, they're saying with these 3 expansions that there's going to be some sort of finality to World of Warcraft. There has to be. Like, why would you do 3 expansions this way if you didn't have some grandiose plan after these 3 expansions are over? Like, are these 3 expansions going to be the last WoW expansions for this universe of WoW, right? And are we going to come out with what Preach Gaming's talking about, like WoW 2? Now, my thing with WoW 2 is I don't think that's the best option for Blizzard. I don't think coming out with WoW 2 is the... I think it's the easiest option for them to say, hey, we're just going to come out with another version of WoW, but it's going to be so different. We're going to rebrand it to WoW 2, and that gets all the excitement. Ooh, it's WoW 2, it's new. Well, it's not really new. What Preach is saying in his videos, it's still going to be basically the same shit. Like, what's WoW 2? Like he says in this video, what's WoW 2 going to look like? Watch this.
Which brings us to WoW 2. Now, since the discussion started, there have been quite a lot of suggestions.
Funny that he went with the Overwatch 2 for WoW 2. And I think that's symbolic of what he's going to say. And that this is symbolic. He's saying that WoW 2 in his mind is going to be how Overwatch did Overwatch 2. Like, it's still Overwatch. They're just making it, you know, more PvE based or whatever. It's just a revamped version of Overwatch. So what Preach is saying is that WoW 2 will still be World of Warcraft. It'll just be like a revamped version of World of Warcraft.
And confusion on just how that would happen. Would it be a different launcher? Would there be new characters to make? Would it be like FF14 where they literally destroyed the game and a new one launched that was entirely different? Would it be like Overwatch?
Well, first off,
forcing everyone to move over to Overwatch 2. Maybe.
Yeah. So I would prefer the Final Fantasy version where they basically destroy the world and create an entirely different game. Now, Final Fantasy created a different game. I don't really remember how the lore worked for Final Fantasy when they created when they destroyed the first world, but I definitely would prefer that they kind of wipe the slate clean. I don't want to see this thing where we're just going to say it's like how Overwatch, you know.
It's even got some FPS component or something. As crazy as it may sound, it's understandable where these ideas have come from. For years, people have been making all kinds of wonderful WoW-inspired content using tech that isn't over 20 years old at this point. And I'm sure many of you have seen recreations of your favorite zones made in Unreal Engine, with gorgeous lighting, fully voiced, or even looking at Blizzard's advanced animation techniques that we know they're capable of. Before we go into that though, the question always comes up, why? Why would there even be a WoW 2? Well, pick your poison. There's no way in hell Morhaime and the squad expected their game that they made all those years ago to be still up and running. And it's pretty clear, the speed bumps are over for now. It isn't going away anytime soon, so it makes sense to start planning for another 20 years.
Yeah, actually, the way Preach does this video makes a lot of sense. You know, like what he said there is like, you know, Morhaime, they didn't expect WoW to be around for 20 years. Nobody does. Nobody creates a video game and thinks they're going to be making content for the same video game 20 years later. Nobody thinks that way. You hope that the game will be around, especially in MMO. I think the hope is 5 years. You create a game, you hope it'll be around for 5 years. Because 5 years is a long time. And that's what I would think. If I was making an MMO, I would hope that it'd be around for 3 years. But yeah, I don't watch a lot of Preach's videos, but this one's good, pretty good. You know, I've watched some of his videos in the past, you know. But he makes a lot of good points in this one. So what he's saying is, they didn't think it was going to be around this long, and so they really didn't plan out some of this stuff like that we would be seeing in the past few years. And there were a lot of bumps. You know, we know that like Shadowlands was awful, was received very, and Shadowlands was terrible. Shadow was terrible. Even Dragonflight, there at some point in time they tried to pivot. They were going down a path of evil, in my opinion. And the game kept getting worse and worse and worse. And they at some point in time, and they were losing more and more people. And Shadowlands was a complete failure. I mean, the game looked like it was about, it could literally just fall apart and go away. It was getting that bad. And then they came up with Dragonflight, where they tried to say, hey, we realize that we've got to start doing some things different. We got to start putting some stuff in the game that brings back players, you know. So they put in the dragon riding. They tried to build a better, they tried to simplify the story. And they tried to bring in dragons and stuff. And so they tried some different things, and it worked to some degree. Like that, Dragonflight was fairly well received. But then they went with the War Within. Now the War Within is a much better expansion than Dragonflight, in my opinion. I didn't even care for Dragonflight that much. I could care less about dragon riding. I mean, we got that in Guild Wars 2. So I didn't, to me, it wasn't anything new. I've already ran around and fly around on dragons in Guild Wars 2. So to me, it was just a ripoff from Guild Wars 2. But I thought you said that the expansion got everything went really bad after Legion. Well, the good thing, see, I played the War Within for about a month, and the good thing with War Within, where they actually succeeded with the War Within, was the zone, like because like the Shadowlands, I thought the zone design was awful. I thought the questing sucked. I thought the zone design was shitty. I thought the zones were really, really bad. I thought the zones were so lackluster. I thought there was no real innovation or no real. They didn't really seem like they put a lot of thought into what the zones were even going to look like or how they're going to. There wasn't a lot of detail. There wasn't a lot of polish. It felt rushed. It felt bland. It felt boring. It felt like a bunch of college interns put it together. But you go to the War Within, and the story is quite a bit better. The story is actually pretty good, and the zones are excellent. If you could play the War Within, the zones are actually quite nice. And there's a lot of detail in the zones. You can tell they just put a lot more work into it. You can tell they put a lot more effort into it. I really like the zones. I like how they did the PvP in the War Within. I like how like these crates, these like like these zeppelins will fly over these crates and they'll drop a PvP crate, and the Alliance and the Horde have to fight for it. That was actually great. So you have these like little mini battles for crates all the time. And the PvP in the War Within was actually pretty good. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed War Within as far as the PvP. The story was decent. And like again, like I said, the zone design was really good, especially some of the zones where you flew down underground, and there's that one zone that the whole zone changes whether it's daytime or nighttime, and it's just cool. It's actually really cool. Now, having said that, I still think it's nothing as good as Classic. I mean, Classic WoW is still better. I much rather play Classic WoW than the War Within. I'm just saying that they did a better job. Like the War Within is 10 times better, or even 100 times better than Shadowlands. But to me, I don't want to see WoW 2. I don't want to see them come out with basically another version of WoW and just rebrand it and call it WoW 2. I don't really want to see that. I mean, of course, I'd probably play it because I love World of Warcraft, but I want to see them. I mean, they have options, right? They could do a Classic Plus, which if done correctly could be fantastic, or they could do like a WoW 2. I guess when I say I don't want to see WoW 2, what I'm saying is I don't want to see WoW 2 the way I think Blizzard would do it, where they just basically come out with a game that looks pretty much just like WoW, and they just say, "Oh, we're just gonna start, we're just gonna like maybe start in a different time zone or some shit."
I apologize to my OGs for what's about to happen, and to the people who are now playing WoW who were born after it came out. This isn't gonna be.
I hate the way he says WoW. He says WoW. Listen to the way he says WoW.
Now playing WoW
Wow. It's just wow. He's got like this weird way of saying wow. It's like wow.
And to the people who are now playing WoW who were
wow. I don't know why that bothers me.
Born after it came out. This isn't going to be pretty. Do you realize just how old World of Warcraft is? We say 2004, but do you know that's the year that Half-Life 2 came out? Halo 2? The Dark Ages just came out. Still not enough. And what it looks like. Probably again here, but you people, wow.
Yeah, I know. So here's where he talks about the issues with the current client. Listen to this.
Again here, but you guys have done a world boss. Whole game just falls apart. It's in fact gotten so bad that 30.
He's saying that in the retail version of the client, when you do a world boss, he's saying the whole game falls apart. Plus, look at the screen. One of my biggest problems with what World of Warcraft is add-ons. Like, I don't like add-ons. I think add-ons should be abolished. Like, see, look at all the add-ons. He's using at least, he's got a bunch of weak auras here. He's got some cooldown trackers. He's got more trackers over here. He's got his damage meter. And I'm sure he's got like some sort of other stuff. He's got an interface, add-on. Looks like he's got I don't know exactly which one, but whatever. I hate it. Get rid of all these fucking add-ons, man. I wish if they did come out with like a WoW 2, first thing I would say is there's no add-ons are completely banned.
Man Ansarek was essentially unplayable for many people. WoW was known for a long time as the seamless world with no loading screens, and now, well, we load screen every couple of seconds. At the Race to World First, not only do the raiders get top-of-the-line PCs, but they have all these weird rules, such as relogging or restarting every couple of hours to clear out cache and reset memory and things, as it has dramatic performance loss if you are playing WoW for a few hours. Silly things have been a nightmare to change. The backpack size, for one. Like, the entire original code was built on the back of it. Or the struggles they've had over the years with multi-core performance, which has grown, don't get me wrong, by leaps and bounds over the last...
And here's the zone I was talking about, the War Within, that's actually really cool. This zone changes, like the color of the crystal here and everything changes whether it's daytime or nighttime.
Decades.
It looks really cool, too.
They have done some phenomenal upkeep and updates over the years, but the issues, they're all there for people to see, and I'm sure you can name 1,000 more. With that said, let's have the grand reveal. What, in my opinion, would WoW 2 look like?
See, and this is he's saying he's doing his grand reveal. What is his opinion of what WoW 2 would look like? And check, it's kind of sad actually. It's kind of disgusting. Here we go.
Well, here's a screenshot of World of Warcraft today in retail. And here is what WoW 2 would likely look like. When we're discussing WoW 2, it's...
So he's saying that WoW 2 wouldn't have anything to do with the visuals of the game, that it's all like basically creating a new game engine. It's like recreate the game engine so it can handle more modern technology so that it doesn't run like shit. Like, because WoW 2 at retail, like he's saying, when you do like the high-end like rating, which who gives a shit about high-end rating? I mean, high-end rating, in my opinion, is... I never want to raid in retail WoW. Like, if I go into retail WoW, the last thought on my mind is raiding. Like, I have no desire to raid whatsoever. Because once you raid, it's like, okay, we'll go download all these stupid add-ons and go figure out, go watch the add-on tell you exactly how to do the fight. And it's just dumb. Everything about raiding to me in retail WoW is stupid.
Not about the graphics. WoW's...
And what gets me is there's people that like it. I mean, you have people that do this. Like, if you go to Blizzard's website, if you go to World of Warcraft, it's crazy, man. Yeah, if you go to World of Warcraft's website, you'll see live streams of people doing mythic dungeons, and I don't even see the appeal. They actually have competitions where people try to beat other raids. Like the first raid, the raids are competing against each other is who can clear the content the fastest.
They have it! They do! Standard double grips. Oh my god, so they're skipping the Blastotron X80. This is so cool for Holy Method. Oh my god, that is insanely sweet.
And Holy Method, now with that loss, getting one unfortunate charge straight to the boss, but they have dodged actually 2 of them.
And so they've made it into this like I can't think of the word, but they made it into like one of those, like a game, like a big a competition, like a line. I can't. What's the word, man? My brain is not working. I apologize. But they've turned it into like an esport. That's what I was trying to say. An esport, where it's basically like, oh, we can watch people like raids go against other raids to see who can clear stuff the fastest. And again, it's. I think what they probably tried to do is, because we all know that like fast clearing of video games gets a lot of views. Like a lot of people who do like speed runs, for example, of different games. Maybe you do a speed run of Elden Ring or something like that. So I mean, really, I think Blizzard, what they said is, well, let's try to implement something like that for raiding, and that's what they've done. These are basically like people trying to speed run like PvE content, which I could give a rat's ass about how fast someone clears PvE content, because it's stupid. It's like, because it's like, I've never been a fan of speedruns in general. I think it's kind of dumb. It's like you're basically finding ways to skip content usually. You're finding ways to skip content or to abuse mechanics to complete stuff faster than it was initially intended to be completed. To me, it's just kind of dumb, but some people like it, whatever. I think they whatever. So anyways, I don't really like this whole raiding, like, oh, let's go watch some people. Let's see who can clear this raid the fastest. Who gives a fuck? I have I'm not impressed by somebody how fast you can clear a raid. I'm just not. Now I am impressed. Let me say that I am impressed by the teamwork. I'm very impressed by the fact that the guild can work really together good together as a team. I mean that's impressive because that's hard to do. I think anytime in an MMO getting people to work together is difficult. So that impresses me. But the content, the idea of making raiding an esport to me is just not something I'm excited about. So, but that's what Preach was talking about in this video. He was talking about how this type of high-end rating that the way the WoW client is now, it just doesn't handle it very well. There's so much textures and they've you guys know as World of Warcraft has gotten older and older and older, they constantly are adding more and more stuff into the game. They updated the spell animations, the weapon animations back in like I don't know. I think it was like World of Draenor, maybe was when they did that. Maybe it was somewhere around there. Maybe it might have been Legion. I don't know. Some version of WoW, they upgraded all the spell animations and the weapon animations, and like a Rogue Sinister Strike looked completely different than it does in vanilla, right? And the sound effects were changed, and so they're adding more particles, and they're trying to make the game look more modern. But the client was never meant to handle that, so they constantly have to try to modify the client, and it's been a nightmare. And so what Preach is talking about is it's been very difficult to keep trying to use the old client. And even though they redesigned the client for Cataclysm, they did a lot of changes to the client for Cataclysm, and they're constantly modifying the client. I mean, the client we're on right now for Classic is the 1.14 client, which is a completely more powerful and better client than the 1.12 client that we saw in the original, game of World War vanilla version of World of Warcraft. So they have made changes to the client over the years that have made it better, but it still is the original code, still the original game engine. So part of when you're talking about like WoW 2, I don't know if that's exactly what Preach is saying here, but I think it's partially what he's saying is that the game isn't going to look any different. It's the underlying game engine that's going to be probably the biggest change. They're going to try to create a whole new game engine probably that's going to make creating a more modern looking game easier. And I think no matter what you do, no matter where you go with WoW, like whether you go WoW Classic Plus or whether you create a completely new version of World of Warcraft in a completely different timeline. Let's say, okay, we're going to go back 10,000 years in the WoW history, or maybe we're going to go 10,000 years into the future. Whatever you do, I think it's almost mandatory that you create a new game engine for it, because if you don't, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Because this game engine just doesn't handle the game very well anymore, and I just don't. Like for me, I think the most interesting part about WoW 2 is what is going to happen to retail. And because I've always said that they should sunset retail after the War Within 3 expansions. They should sunset it. They should end it. No more expansions. They can leave retail up for people who want to play it. You can leave the servers up if people want to play retail WoW. Let them play retail WoW. But don't add it. It'll basically be in maintenance mode. And then you'll have, because you still have your classic version, you still have classic anniversary realms, you're still going to have your classic Mist of Pandaria, which is probably going to continue on through the next expansion. So if people want to play Legion or they want to play Shadowlands, God forbid, I don't know why the fuck you'd ever want to play that piece of shit again. They can do that, right? And then, of course, there's always private servers. If people really want to play certain things, there's almost a private server for every version of WoW if you ever want to go and play that. And in that way, private servers helps World of Warcraft. WoW doesn't need to keep the retail game going anymore. I don't think. They don't need to keep retail WoW going. They're not going to. WoW has the ability to keep their player base, right? They're not going to. They may lose their player base if they shut down retail or if they put it in maintenance mode. I'm sure eventually people will leave it, of course. But that gives them the opportunity to create something else that will easily get those people back. Because people are too invested in the WoW universe to just walk away. So, but I would just prefer not to see them come out with like the same looking version of the game. I don't agree with that. Like, I would, and I don't want to see them. And I do agree. I don't really want to see them do like like an Unreal Engine version, like this.
Creations of your favorite zones made in Unreal Engine with gorgeous lighting, fully voiced, or even looking at Blizzard's advanced animation tech.
I mean, actually. It would be. I'm not gonna lie though. It would be nice to see WoW in a more graphically looking a lot nicer. And I do want that. Let me restate. I do want to see the graphics better. I don't want them to lose their art style. I think the art style, wow, which I didn't like initially when the game first came out in 2004, I didn't really like it, but now I'm so used to it, I like it now. So when you look at those videos of people taking, and there's some really good ones out there, you know, like the Orgrimmar in Unreal Engine 5, right? Like here's one, and this is probably not one of the better ones. Like, but this is Orgrimmar in Unreal, but it doesn't look bad, right? But I've actually seen better ones. But this one they went to the fact that they actually have a character model that can walk around. I don't know how they did the flying mount. But this person did like Orgrimmar in Unreal Engine 5. And it looks pretty decent, right? And then there's this one. Yeah, this is a cinematic though. Where's the one they did? Let's see. Elwyn Forest. I think the Elwyn one looks better. There's a bunch of Elwyn Forest in Unreal Engine. Let's see. I think here's a compilation. You know. So here's like, you know, Duskwood. And this is like, this doesn't even look like Unreal Engine 5. This was like Unreal Engine 4. Yeah, Unreal Engine 4. This one's insane. So this one's insane, right? Look at the Game Morph AI. So it looks like they use some sort of AI to do this. I mean, that looks pretty damn cool. I mean, I love, you know, I would love it if we could get into, it would be cool if we could get the grass to look that good. We don't need everything to look this good, but the grass would be nice if we get the grass to look that nice. Look at that spider. So we're not gonna get a rebooted version of WoW to look like this, but so it's like, where do we go? I mean, what graphics do we want to see if they did do like a WoW 2? But for me, I would like to see them, like I said, this whole thought, and I've thought about this stuff for years. I've thought about what would a new version of WoW look like? Where should WoW go? You know. But you know, I think, and I haven't watched this whole preach video. I think I watched most of it.
Housing in particular was a feature I've talked to people at Blizzard about since 2016. The message was always the same regardless. It just can't be done in a way that makes it what the players want and expect. The game simply cannot do it. Well, just a week ago, I played it. It works, and it shouldn't. So how was it done? Look, man, when devs speak to me about this stuff, they rightly regard me like a child who cannot fathom that it is possible to connect two shoelaces together in a way.
Well, okay, I'm a software developer, so I can tell you right now, there is no can't be done in software development, right? First of all, you never tell anybody that. Never say we can't do it. You can always do it. That's your job, right? Software developer. So when they told him that they couldn't do housing, that was just straight up bullshit. That's just them trying to deflect it, saying because they don't want to do it. It's not because they can't do it. You can always do it. I mean, you can do anything in a game engine, right? Because you can always add code that adds the functionality into the game engine to allow the game engine to handle whatever it is you need it to handle. It can be done, okay? I mean, we've seen even like, for example, Bethesda redid that one. They just redid what wasn't Morrowind. They just redid one of their games in Unreal Engine 5, right? And what they did was they took the game, and I actually bought the damn thing, and I still haven't played it. And I actually purchased it, by the way, but I still haven't played it. I've purchased multiple games that I don't even think I've played yet. But the Elder Scrolls, what was it? Which one was it? God, my brain is really not working. It's because I've had It's Oblivion. So I've actually purchased Oblivion. But Oblivion.
I was born 87 and the ruler of my own dreams.
Wow, they got Picard. That's awesome. I didn't know they had Patrick Stewart voicing this.
This is the 27th of last seed,
That's awesome.
the year of Akatosh 433.
Wow, that when you put Patrick Stewart's voice to any kind of fantasy, and you sold me, man. You sold me. But what I'm trying to say is they took Oblivion, they remastered it, but the way they did it was what was so impressive. They actually are using Unreal Engine 5, but they're using, I think it's called the Creation Engine, I believe. And it's basically inside. I think Unreal Engine, I think it's inside, they wrapped Unreal Engine 5 around the Creation Engine. So what I'm trying to say is just the fact that they did that shows you that you can do anything. So for a developer to sit there and say we couldn't do housing is bullshit. They could have wrapped the WoW client inside of Unreal Engine if they wanted to, because all it is code, and code can talk to other code, right? Like we can make code from the WoW's custom engine talk to Unreal Engine. We can use Unreal Engine's lighting. We can use Unreal Engine's like textures, and use it in World of Warcraft if we wanted to. There's any way, there's ways you can do it. So Blizzard loves to sit there and say we can't do this, but 90 times out of 10, it's not that they can't do it, it's that they don't want to do it. Because it's difficult, because it's time consuming, it's expensive. Because Blizzard's thinking about money.
That stay tied, and rightly so. I don't know about this stuff. But essentially I asked, how did you do it? How is this possible? How is dragon riding possible? It's not just the player in the 3D space, but faster, which is basically what normal mounts are. The answer was essentially, well, it wasn't. Until someone figured something out a few years ago, and now it's here. Cool. All right. But here's the important bit in the statement that I got years ago. Often people don't really understand how long in the making things are. Blizzard.
Yeah, but again, someone figured it out years ago. Again, that's... Don't ever say in development that you can't do something, because that's not true. You always can do it. It just comes down to a matter of how long is it going to take and how long is it going to cost, right? So the thing with WoW is if they want to make WoW 2, yes, the game engine is way out of date. If you play retail WoW, you'll see that. I've got a brand new computer. It's super fast. My computer cost me $3,000. The computer I have right now. If I run retail WoW on this computer, there'd be times when it can chug, in a big raid fight or something, a big boss fight, because the amount of memory that WoW uses nowadays in the retail it's a ton. It uses a ton of memory. Although I haven't played retail on this computer, so it probably would run pretty nicely. But on my old computer, it struggled to run retail. Like I had issues running retail when I went into dungeons with even just 5 people. Sometimes, like if I was just doing like single solo player stuff, it ran fine. Like I'd go and do battlegrounds, it ran pretty good. But if I ran into like raids or anything like that, it chugged. It was struggling. And but yeah, if they do WoW 2 for World of Warcraft, they're certainly going. One of the things they're certainly going to do is redo the game engine, and rightly so. This is something they should have done a long time ago. But I don't want to see WoW 2. The point of this whole thing is I don't want to see WoW 2. I would much rather see Blizzard create something new. Now, it could be, right? Like, because you've got WoW Retail, right? You got WoW Retail. You've got Classic WoW. You've got Anniversary. Oh my God, Anniversary WoW. And then you've got Season of Discovery, which I can't stand, by the way. And I think, to me, retail should be sunset. Sunset this. Sunset after, War Within. 3 expansions, all right? Just sunset it. Put it in maintenance mode. This should go into maintenance mode. Maintenance mode. Classic WoW is just going through the motions. We're getting ready to do MOP, and then we're gonna do whatever expansion next and next and next. Like, I don't really care about this. This is something that they're going to continue to do, which is fine. Let people replay these expansions if they want. I don't care. Anniversary WoW was just basically them giving us, freshy fresh. One thing I think Blizzard learned from private servers is that anytime a private server came out with a fresh experience of classic WoW, people jumped on it. People love starting over because you want to relive that experience of what it was like to start at level 1 because it's fun. In vanilla, it's fun. It's not fun in retail. Nobody wants to go into the War Within and re-level through that expansion. Nobody really wants to do that because it isn't that fun. It just isn't that fun. Which is really funny when you look at like going into the War Within and creating a character. Let's say you create a character from level 1 and say I want to level from 1 all the way to max level in retail. It's not really that fun. It just isn't. It's tedious. It's boring. But if you go into classic WoW, every time you re-roll a new character, it's fun. Like I'm playing, like I was playing this character. Let's see, do I still have? I'm not logged in for some reason. But I was just playing this Warlock in vanilla and it was fun. Level like 12, level 13 Warlock. And it's fun. Why is it fun? That's the question, is what makes that fun over like trying to go to like retail? I think what makes it fun is it's cohesive, right? And what I mean by that is there's so many things from 1 to 60 in vanilla WoW that feel like you're like these little baby steps, you know what I mean? Like the leveling 1 to 10, it's fun. You're like okay, I get a level up to 10, I get my first talent point. From 10 to 20, I get a little bit stronger. At 20, I usually get some sort of a new cool ability. Like if I'm a feral druid, I get like cat form or something. If I'm like a hunter, I get cheetah. If I'm a rogue, maybe I get sprint or something. There's always like a big ability at level 20, right? And at level 40, there's always something big. Like if I'm a paladin, at level 40, I get to go to plate mail. If I'm a warrior, I get to go to plate mail. If I'm a hunter, I get to go to mail armor. There's these little like stepping stones or building blocks or checkpoints, or I don't know what you want to call them. You know what I mean? They're like these. There's a better word that I'm looking for. Like milestones is what I was thinking. There's these really big milestones for your character, but all that kind of gets lost when we go through like different expansions of WoW. And we get to the part where it's not 1 to 60 anymore. It's 1 to like 85 or 1 to 90 or 1 to 100 or whatever it was. Those milestones start to disappear. And it just feels like nobody cares about leveling. It's all about max level and end game at that point. We just want to get through this shit as fast as possible. And that's why I think leveling should stop after 60. Like, that's why I think that the potential to just come out with Classic Plus. So, this is what we have now, right? But what should we do? Where should World of Warcraft go? Well, number one, right? Create new game client, right? That's what they should do that. Number 2, ban all add-ons. Completely ban all add-ons. Remove all add-ons from the game. What this will do is this will force people to stop trying to use add-ons as a crutch. This will force people to start playing the game, to start like figuring out how to do boss encounters, how to do raids, just by watching the enemy, watching the boss. Because what you really need to have happen when you're playing a game is you need to look at the game. In PvP, you shouldn't be looking at Gladius. You shouldn't be looking at all these add-ons telling me, oh, this guy's blind is on cooldown for another 10 seconds. You shouldn't. It should be a lot more reliant on the player's ability to remember what people did in their brain and to watch what people are doing on the screen. Oh, I can see this mage is casting this spell. How am I going to counter that? I'm not looking at like some sort of, big like cast bar that my add-on let me create and put anywhere on the screen. Oh, he's casting a revive. Hunter's casting a revive pet, and he's got 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the cast. Get rid of add-ons. That will make the game way better. It'll make it more skillful. It's just going to be better. Trust me. So create a new game client, ban all mods, ban all add-ons, get rid of add-ons entirely. Number 3, we need to to retain the milestones and, you know, baby steps. The leveling is what makes, not the leveling, sorry, the journey is more important than the destination. So the journey in an MMO, in my opinion, should always be more important than the destination. And that's because people should be able to log into an MMO and play for an hour and have a lot of fun. You know, you should be able to get into an MMO at level 1 and play for an hour and be able to log off and say that you had a ton of fun. You should be, whether you're level 1, whether you're level 10, whether you're level 60, doesn't matter. You should be able to have fun playing the game in short periods of time. Well, that doesn't happen in retail. In retail, if you're like create a level 1 character, you're not really going to have a whole lot of fun leveling up. It's really kind of boring, especially if you've done it over and over again. So that's all gone. It's like all about end game. So you need to make people enjoy other aspects of the game. You know, there needs to be crafting has to be good. There has to be all kinds of different life systems and systems in the game that people can engage in and have fun with. It shouldn't be about the end game. It shouldn't be about the end game. The end game, once you get to end game, that just gives you more things. So these are just some of the things. If I was going to make like a new version of WoW, right? This doesn't apply to Classic. I mean, some of this applies to Classic Plus, but if we went down the road of Classic Plus, it's a little different because Classic Plus, the most important thing I think with Classic Plus, my key just popped off my keyboard for some reason. The most important thing with Classic Plus is that we are still playing vanilla WoW, right? If we're going to do Classic Plus, we have to keep in mind that we're playing vanilla World of Warcraft, and we need to retain the feeling that we are playing vanilla WoW. Because that's what, to me, Classic Plus is people who love vanilla WoW. So we're not trying to change the game. We're just trying to say, hey, let's keep adding content to vanilla WoW so people can continue to enjoy what it's like to play the vanilla version of the game. But let's just give them some, let's just rework it a little bit to make, you know, maybe fix some of the glaring issues with vanilla WoW and add content to vanilla WoW so people, you know, add some new dungeons and maybe add some new stories. You know, keep the level cap level 60. You know, you don't need to increase the level cap at all. You know. Yeah, retail is much more on content and raid. Yeah. Yeah, and because it's like that, it kills the journey. The journey just disappears because really in retail, all the progression that you're going to get for your characters revolves around the end game rating. So that's why I don't like retail. I mean, if I was Blizzard, like I said, I would kill retail. I would just kill it. I would put it in maintenance mode. After these 3 expansions, that would be it. I would kill Season of Discovery entirely. I would just get this fucking plague out of the game. Can't stand it. I would go ahead and let the classic stuff progress through, but then you know, once it got to, you know, War Within, I would, you know, I'd let it go all the way to War Within, and then I would just kill it off entirely, get rid of it. Anniversary, Freshy Fresh, whatever. I would just go through Wrath of Lich King, and I would probably stop it right there. I would stop it at Wrath of Lich King, and then I would just do it again. Then I would start it over again. So people, because I think there's always going to be, I think there's always going to be money to be made for Blizzard to do that. So I would kill retail, you know, or maintenance mode. Kill SOD. Finish classic off at, I don't know, maybe finish it off at, you know what, it's War Within's too close. I would finish this off at like, I would stop before Shadowlands, whatever expansion was before Shadowlands. So finish this off at, you know, BFA or what? Here, let's look at the WoW expansions. Okay, so Warlords of Draenor, Legion, Battle for Azeroth. Oh yeah, so I was right. I would finish Classic off at Battle for Azeroth. You know, I would end it with Battle for Azeroth. So then, all we would have left would be Anniversary, right? Anniversary Fresh, and we would just have WoW Retail in maintenance mode. And that's it. You know, once Classic ran its once it ran through BFA and we killed it, all we would have left would be these servers that we'd kind of relaunch as fresh servers, you know, and then just the retail and maintenance mode. And man, if we could, I would get rid of retail entirely. I mean, I just would shut it down. I think I actually liked Battle for Azeroth. I actually liked Battle for Azeroth had good zones, like they were well designed. And Battle for Azeroth, what Battle for Azeroth had was the survival. It had a survival hunter, like a really good version of survival hunter was BFA, and it was actually the first version of survival hunter that felt like a melee hunter. So that's why I like Battle for Azeroth. But yeah, the expansion was pretty crappy. But survival hunter by BFA is the shit. And because I love hunter, that's why I like BFA. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't raid. See, I don't raid though, so I don't have to worry about that. Year end at Legion. What's up, Pigeon? Yeah, we could end at Legion too. I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with that ending at Legion. But I definitely would like to see him get rid of. I mean, to me, just kill everything. Get rid of retail. Like, we need to get rid of retail. And so what I'm trying to get at, is for me, if I was running Blizzard, what I would focus on is, as far as like game modes, what I would focus on getting to if I was Blizzard Entertainment for WoW, I would do WoW Classic Plus, and then I would do either a entirely new MMO, either I do an entirely new MMO, like completely new, or I would do WoW 2, like they say, WoW 2 in a completely different timeline with different races and obviously a completely different game engine. Okay. So I would do this, or, and we're going to use the programmer's syntax, or we're going to do this, or, well, just so you guys don't get confused, we'll do or. No. Or. We're going to do this or this, and so I would do WoW Classic Plus because I just think there's a big market for that. I would do this, and then I would also do, because I just think it's an easy cash cow for them, I would do the fresh realms, fresh classic, fresh realms, and all fresh realms are is we just progress from vanilla through TBC to Wrath of the Lich King, and that's it. So the fresh realms are every like 3 years, or maybe not every maybe every 2.5 years. We just create some fresh servers where people can go from vanilla, TBC, Wrath of the Lich King. They can go through those 3 expansions over like a 2.5 or 3 year span in a progressive release schedule. Kind of like which is basically what they're doing with Anniversary Realms right now. This way, people can get their fix of those versions of the game on a cycle of about every 2.5 years, and then they can come out with WoW Classic, which I think could really be really fun if they did it right. And then I would work on either an entirely new MMO, something that's not WoW related, or I would do WoW 2. But I would do a completely different timeline with different races, because it has to feel different, and it has to be a completely different game engine. And so for me, and I don't know enough about the WoW lore, but I don't know if we'd have to go back in time. I think people said there were no night elves. If you go far enough back, there's no night elves. There's just like humans and orcs. So that's fine. But I mean, go way back in time. Do whatever you want. You're Blizzard. You can do whatever you want. But this is what I would do. If I was running Blizzard Entertainment, this is what I would do. I would kill everything off, and I would just do WoW Classic Plus, do the fresh realms so people can get their fix of vanilla, TBC, and Wrath of the Lich King, and then just do some sort of entirely new MMO or WoW 2. Yeah. You are correct. You are correct, Pigeon. They're not going to do any of that. You are 100% correct. Do I need these any more of these guys? Let's see. Yeah, we do still need some bandanas.
can kiss your ass goodbye. You can kiss your ass goodbye.
What did I just take? Shit. Whoops. Oh no. Oh no, we are in trouble. We's in trouble.
You're screwed.
Oof. Oh, we had more trouble. But I do agree with Preach Gaming in that I do think Blizzard's up to something. I do think they're up to something. 1 in 5 people bought the $90 mount. I didn't buy it. I did not buy the mount, but I won't lie. I and when I was playing War Within, I considered buying it. There are advantages to that mount, but yeah, I didn't buy that. And I said, no, that's... Wow, 1 in 5? That's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that many people bought it. But that's probably a skewed... That's probably a skewed article. That probably means 1 in 5 out of the retail players, though, obviously, because you have to be playing retail WoW. That was a retail mount. But yeah, that's insane. People, well, here's the thing. There's so many people that play WoW that have like there's a lot of people that have like every mount or almost every mount. You know, they're like mount fiends, you know. So oh, for fuck's sake. I'm just...
Kiss your ass goodbye.
Oh. Hmm. But yeah, but I think, like I said, Preach has a point. I do believe that Blizzard is up to something. I think that War Within ends. I think they are planning something. I mean, they have to plan for the future. You know, they had a game that was out for 20 years. They have the benefit of seeing the pitfalls of having a game that runs that long. So I think they are working on something. I don't know if it's another version of WoW, if it's WoW 2, I don't know, but I do believe they're working on something. I don't think they brought Chris Metzen back just to just because they want to run. It was just for War Within. I think he was brought back for something else. I don't think I've done the Voidwalker quest. I think the only reason I don't have the Voidwalkers is because I don't think I've done the quest yet. So, and honestly, the you know, you do more damage with the imp. To me, the Voidwalkers feels like a crutch, you know.
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
I think I'll be a better Warlock. You know what I mean?
You
Yeah.
were screwed.
It can tank, but I think I'd be a better Warlock if I get used to actually having to kill the mobs myself, you know? And the Warlock feels like the Voidwalker just feels like a crutch. But yeah, I mean, we definitely will have to get one. It'll be good for certain situations, but I don't think it's necessary for what I'm doing right now. But it does, like I said, it makes leveling a lot easier because you're not worried about getting hit. But what you do is, what I'm doing is I'm trading threat between me and my pet, right? So I start off hitting the mob, he hits me, my pet pulls threat, and then once I start doing damage, ramping up my dots, I pull threat back. So it's kind of a little bit of a dance between switching pet back and forth between me and my Voidwalker, or my imp. But yeah, the Voidwalker's probably better for sure. I leveled up from like, you know, 8 to 13 pretty quickly, so I never did the damn quest. I'm sure I have the quest, don't I? Let's see. Yeah, see, look, retrieve the choker. You will find her at the Brackwall Pumpkin Patch. So I need to go to the Brackwall Pumpkin Patch, wherever the hell that is. Here. Right here. We need to get this choker. Without improvement talent, he cannot hold out. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm a noob when it comes to Warlocks. So, but yeah, we'll definitely get the Woodwalker. I just hadn't done it yet. That's the reason I'm not using the Woodwalker. I just haven't done the quest yet. If you ever watch me play MMOs, what I like doing the most is just killing. So I end up like, you'll see me end up killing mobs and stuff without doing quests, and so I end up like not getting certain things done because I'm too busy just spanking mobs. But yeah, I think the Warlock is definitely a class I want to play more. I like the Warlock. The Warlock's pretty cool. Where's my hearth at? My hearth is currently at Goldshire. Oh, I've got the spell power sword. Yeah, check it out. I've got spell damage plus 30 on this sword. Nice. So we're kind of spoiled with that.
You need something? Light bless you.
And I haven't spent any talent points yet, which doesn't surprise me. But I am going to go back to bed because I have to go to work. You got 0 enchants?
Blizzard has been working quietly, discreetly, on major additions for the game for literal years before it ever sees the light of day, and God knows how many they've scrapped. Mobile. That's right, the entire change all the 16 things. Your character will appear that way, but information is not being sent to other players. That is the trick. Their infrastructure does not allow that kind of information to be base, which is always going to be available. The same finish making things are. Blizzard has been working quietly, discreetly, on major additions for the game for literal years before it ever sees the light of day, and God knows how many they've scrapped. And an overhaul of WoW could very well fall into that category.
What we're looking at here is the WoW housing system.
Now, I know many of you are thinking, what's the point in making the same finished product that we see in game again? Well, this is actually happening, and I'm really not going to be chortling the balls here of FF14, but there's a prime example happening.
He's saying this is actually happening. So he's saying it is happening. Did you hear that?
Point in making the same finished product that we see in game again. Well, this is actually happening, and I'm really not going to be
maybe when he says this is actually happening, he's referring to Final Fantasy.
Pulling the balls here of FF14, but there's a prime example happening right now that is very relevant to what we're talking about, so bear with me here. FF14 is coming to mobile. That's right, the entire MMO, cutscenes, audio, the whole thing is going to be available on a mobile phone. Now, here's the thing. It's being rebuilt, similar to what we're talking about here, by a different company to visually come across as the same, but they're changing the foundation. They're changing their infrastructure at the very base, which is allowing the mobile version to do things that the main game cannot. I know that sounds crazy, but it is exactly what's happening, and it's causing a lot of issues in the FF14 community because they're like, wait, the mobile version in some ways is better than the console and PC version. A simple example would be dyeing armor. You can dye your armor in FF14's main game. You can do it with 2 different colors. You can change them around to whatever you want. The mobile version allows for 16 different dye channels on your armor. You can customize the buttons, the lapels, the logos, all sorts of things. Now, here's the weird thing. That actually exists in the main game in a form, right? You can do that with the use of add-ons. Add-ons allow you to change all the 16 things on armor. But
that's fucked up. Okay, that is fucked up that add-ons would allow you to change something visually in the game. That's fucked up. How is that even possible? Like, can you imagine there being add-ons? Because think about that. Can you imagine there being add-ons in World of Warcraft that allow you to change your... How does that work for other players? Do other players have to have that add-on installed to see the changes your add-on made? You know what I mean? Are these add-ons only changing the color so that for your visual, so for you to see it, you know, like nobody else can see it? I mean, it can't possibly change it for everybody because that would be changing the game, right? Yeah, Final Fantasy Mobile is Final Fantasy in general. It's just a fashion show. I mean, really, it's kind of like Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14. Both the end game is the same. It's just fashion.
The actual base game infrastructure does not allow that much information to be transferred amongst the players that are playing the game right now. If you want to do this, what you can do is save it locally to your machine. So you use an add-on, it shows you with your perfect little glam, your character will appear that way, but information is not being sent to other players. That is the trick. Their infrastructure...
Yeah, so again, like that's what I figured. There's no way that other people could see that because that would require you to somehow change the game for other players that's sending information to the server that then gets sent back down to their client. And once you do that, you open up the ability for players to just crash the servers, right?
Structure does not allow that kind of information to pass between players. The foundation doesn't quite work. What the mobile game has been able to do is actually go in, change that base infrastructure, so even though the actual finished product looks exactly the same, no different whatsoever, the underlying structure allows them to do many more things. And you can imagine exactly why the main game players are a little miffed that the mobile version is seemingly superior in some ways. Why does this exist over on my bloody mobile phone on my tablet instead of existing in the big main game I'm playing on my super expensive PC? And there are a number of other examples of it. But this is a prime example of what we're talking about that WoW is trying to do and WoW might want to adopt, is by remaking the whole game, changing all that base infrastructure, allowing a lot more doors to be open. The finished product looks the same, but it is absolutely not the same at the bottom and allows for so many more options. So with that said, perhaps World of Warcraft 2, as in the box, the collector's edition, the expansion, the title itself will never exist. Instead, Blizzard has found a different way. Bit by bit, they're going to consume and overtake and replace all these old systems one by one. Or perhaps, when the credits roll on the World Soul Saga, we'll see a message. World of Warcraft, a realm reborn.
I don't know. Well, there's certainly not. If they do it piecemeal, that's stupid. Like if they try to, because you can't. Like if you're going, like what he's saying, he kind of contradicted himself there by saying that what would World of Warcraft 2 look like, and he basically was saying that it would look the same, but that the game, the base underlying code would be different. I think that's one thing that preached that I don't like about this video is he's kind of dancing around the technology. Like he's doing it in a very, he's trying to like present the content in an extremely general way. But what he's talking about is the game engine. He's talking about the code. The code that runs in the game engine, how advanced is it? How much does it let the developers at Blizzard do the things that they need to do to make the game run on modern hardware? Because that's the thing with video games, is that as the older the game gets, the hardware outpaces the code that the game was built on. It's the same thing with any piece of code. Like I'm rewriting our software application at work right now because it's out of date. It was written 15 years ago. So we're completely rewriting the whole web application because the technology now, the coding technology is so much more advanced. So our 15-year-old website was using old technology. Same thing with World of Warcraft. When the game engine was created, it was created to run on systems that were using much older hardware than what we have now. And even the code itself, the programming languages they use, whatever service libraries they use, whatever, all the stuff that they have in their game engine was designed then. There's much better, more improved versions of even the same frameworks that they were using then now. So it's a couple different things. The software now is more advanced. The frameworks that they probably used are more advanced. The technology, though, from the client side, the users, us, the players, is incredibly more advanced. So, we need to take advantage of that. What's up, Sam? It's just kind of a theoretical video by Preach Gaming, but what I'm trying to say is he kind of dances around the technical details of what he's really talking about. He's saying, oh, the WoW, the game, the current game is not running that well, and they need to make changes to allow the game to do things better. But again, what we're talking about now is we're talking about recoding the game engine. And then are they doing it currently? I'm assuming that they are. I bet you that Blizzard's currently probably working on, hopefully they're working on a new game engine from the ground up. Like if you look at, and again, like I said, Bethesda did this with the Oblivion remake, right? Like Elder Scrolls Oblivion or whatever, they did a remastered version of that. But what they did was they took their game engine, the creation engine, and then they wrapped Unreal Engine around it, So, anyways, I don't think WoW should do that. I think WoW should basically probably rewrite their game engine. Or because I don't think WoW's ever just going to say, well, let's just go pay for a license for Unreal Engine and use Unreal Engine. Although they could do that. And I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. The nice thing about going with Unreal Engine, and a lot of people like to make fun of Unreal Engine 5 games saying they all look the same, or that Unreal 5 engine games have a lot of issues, like a lot of like optimization issues. And of course they have a lot of optimization issues, but that's just because people haven't figured out how to optimize it. there's plenty of examples of people running games on Unreal Engine that run fantastic. There's plenty of Unreal Engine 5 games that run really well, but when you start talking about MMO, it's there's a lot of work that goes into making sure that it runs well for a lot of people. It's just the way MMOs work. So it's not really the engine. There's no flaws in Unreal Engine. The engine's pretty open source. There's a lot of tools that allow you to write your own custom code in the engine. So there's no flaws with the engine itself. Game like, for example, like Terra. Terra was written in Unreal Engine 3, I believe, and Terra ran very smooth. And that was Unreal Engine 3, which to this day I think is probably the greatest video game ever made in Unreal Engine 3, in my opinion. So, what should they do? Should they rewrite their own engine, or should they go to like something like Unreal Engine 5? I kind of didn't finish my thought. What I was saying is, if you go to Unreal Engine 5, the benefit of going with Unreal Engine 5 is you don't have to maintain the engine. You don't have to keep improving the engine itself. Epic Games does that. So if you pay for a license for Unreal Engine and you put World of Warcraft on Unreal Engine 5, the benefit of that is that Epic Games is continually going to work to make their game engine better. So as the game engine gets better, you can just roll that in right into WoW. Roll that into that version of WoW that's on that game engine, and the game engine is going to continually improve. So we didn't really see Blizzard had to do that with their engine. Like when they came out with the client in Cataclysm, all those changes, the water engine, remember all those changes they made, and all the changes they've made from then until now, they've had to do that. If they went with Unreal Engine 5, they wouldn't have to worry about any of that stuff. But of course, they'd have to pay Epic Games some money because their game makes so much money. Because Epic Games, their agreement's pretty good. I mean, like for example, if you make less than $100,000 off your game, then you only give them like a very small percentage. I think once you get to like where like this, like World of Warcraft, where you're making millions and millions and millions, you might owe Epic Games 5%. Like let's say you make $1 million off your game, you might owe Epic Games like $50,000. So that's quite a bit of money, but that is what it is. But if you make if you make less than 100,000, like let's say you made $90,000, I think you would only owe Epic Games I can't remember what the fee is. It's not much. It wouldn't be much. It's not until you get into like making a ton of money where that goes up a little bit, but again, you kind of have to figure that out. Is it worth it to you to have an engine that you don't have to worry about maintaining, if that's going to constantly improve? I guess you'd have to sit down and figure out how much money have we spent through the years on World of Warcraft, modifying our game engine and improving the game engine to do things that the game wasn't originally meant to do. How much money do we spend on that endeavor? I think, personally, it's definitely worth it for them just to say, you know what, scrap it. Just throw the damn thing. Let's do WoW 2 and Unreal Engine 5. To me personally, I think it would be way better to go on the Unreal Engine 5 route and just use that engine instead of trying to recreate an entirely new engine. If they're worried about making the game look like WoW in the Unreal Engine, why are you worried about that? Again, Elder Scrolls Online has already shown you that you can take Oblivion, and then remaster it, and it still looks like Oblivion. It's just the graphics are way better, and that's basically running in Unreal Engine 5. So, anything's possible. You just have to have smart enough developers to know how to do it. Anyways, I'm going back to bed. I hope you guys have a good one. Like I said, I'm working on buying a house right now, and we actually pretty much did buy a house. We just have to do the inspection and a few things. I'm not moving right away. I still have the apartment lease for another till December. So you won't see that downtime where I'm moving. Like like the move from now to my house is going to occur from now until December 12th. So it's just going to be really laid back and chill. I'm not sure when I'll move my computer over. I'm going to guess sometime in hopefully I'll be working and playing my game out of the new house, and I don't know. I don't really know yet. I haven't done all the logistics yet. basically I'm going to be owning a house and still have an apartment lease for till December. So where am I going to live? I don't know. I haven't really decided. You know, I just know that I'll be moving stuff from the apartment to the house over the next few months. And at some point I have to switch to the internet service on at the other place and get my computer over there and start working from there and then and unfortunately it doesn't look like the house has fiber optic, which is fine. I mean, I don't have fiber optic here either. I'll have to research the internet options and see what we have. But we have a lot more, so that I know my office is going to be about the same size as the office I'm in now. But we're moving from a two-bedroom apartment to a house that has 3 bedrooms and a den and it's almost like basically 4 bedrooms in the house. The house is more than twice the size of my apartment. It's over 2,000 square feet, so that's good. So it's pretty big. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I'll be doing I still have to do a lot of like closing house stuff over the next few days. And my work's super busy right now. So I haven't played WoW as much in the last month just because there's just too much real life stuff going on. But I'll still be playing here and there. And it was unfortunate that we couldn't really get much honor tonight on the Hunter, but it's just, oh my God, I spent 50 minutes in one BG. That first BG I did lasted it was with that first AV we did, lasted 50 minutes and we got 6,000 honors. So I really didn't see the point of continuing to do AV. I'd rather play the Warlock than get 6,000 honor every 50 minutes. That's just not good. But anyways, I'm off to bed. I'll catch you guys later, man. Peace out. Have a good one, guys.